Police are seeking the public's help with identifying a masked gunman in Philadelphia who chased after a woman and fired multiple gunshots at her in the street in broad daylight. The incident occurred last Monday morning just before 7 a.m. in the city's Olney section, where the woman noticed that an armed man was running toward her. She could be heard screaming in terror while taking cover behind cars in harrowing footage of the apparent attempt on her life. Luckily, the victim survived, and police do not believe that she and the shooter knew each other despite their speculation that the woman was targeted. A law enforcement spokesperson described it as a miracle that neither she nor any bystanders were harmed. Surveillance video appears to show the man being dropped off near the scene by someone in a Nissan Juke, which also served as the getaway car. The vehicle fled the scene after the shooting, and the suspects remain at large. An investigation is ongoing, and authorities are asking anyone with information to come forward. Number 19. Carmella Motley. A Louisiana woman is accused of stabbing her husband to death and running him over with their SUV after an altercation broke out between the Materi couple during a drive. The deadly argument occurred on Tuesday night in Jefferson Parish, where officers found the deceased victim at around 10 p.m. while responding to a reported car accident. 68-year-old grandfather of 5, Sebastian King, was pronounced dead at the scene, and 65-year-old Carmella Motley was arrested on suspicion of second-degree murder. Authorities have not revealed the details of what they believe led up to the tragedy, but court documents state that King died from blunt and sharp force injuries indicative of being stabbed and hit with a vehicle. Records show that Motley is being held at the Jefferson Parish Correctional Center with bond set at $500,000. Number 18. Matthew James Ruth. 3 police officers were killed on Tuesday in southern Pennsylvania at the hands of an accused stalker who immediately opened fire on them while hiding in his ex-girlfriend's York County home. 5 cops were attempting to serve an arrest warrant at the rural farm in North Codorus Township, where 24-year-old Matthew James Ruth was allegedly stalking his former partner, despite having never been invited to the residence. The victim had reported seeing a man staring into her home with binoculars the previous day. Ruth shot at the police when they returned to the property the next day, killing Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Sergeant Isaiah Emmenheiser, and Detective Mark Baker before he, too, succumbed to the exchange of gunfire. While searching the house, officers found the family's pet dog shot to death in the basement. A law enforcement spokesperson blamed the hateful scourge of domestic violence when questioned about a motive, adding that if the stalking victim or her family had returned to the home before the police got there, they would have immediately been killed. Number 17. The murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. In an update to a case we reported on last week, the dismembered remains of a young woman that were found in rapper David's abandoned Tesla have been identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a teenager who was reported missing last year in Lake Elsinore. Police have not named any suspects or made any arrests, and a representative for David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, said that the musician is cooperating fully with the investigation. But people have noticed apparent connections between the 20-year-old rapper and Rivas Hernandez that are hard to ignore, including an unreleased song which mentions the name Celeste twice and seems to describe the slain teen's tattoo. Additionally, Rivas Hernandez was reportedly dating someone named David when she vanished, and images have surfaced of Burke with a woman resembling the victim. Another photo seems to place Burke at the girl's home, and screenshots from around that same time point to rumors that Burke was dating a woman named Celeste. The investigation is ongoing, with the latest updates revealing that police were seen raiding Burke's mansion in search of blood evidence. Number 16. Travis Decker. A months-long manhunt for a father who killed his 3 daughters has ended with the discovery of his remains in Chelan County, Washington. 32-year-old National Guardsman Travis Decker became a wanted fugitive in early June after the strangled bodies of his daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, were found in his abandoned pickup truck at a rural campground. In the year or so leading up to the girls' murders, Decker's ex-wife had expressed concerns over his mental health in family court while seeking to limit his visitation with their daughters. He was reportedly living out of his truck at the time, and a search for the girls began after he failed to return them from a planned visit. Investigators suspected that Decker might have been using the survival skills he learned in the military to live in the wilderness undetected. On Friday, however, authorities announced the discovery of his remains in a remote wooded area south of Leavenworth. While the body is yet to be officially identified, all signs point to the remains belonging to Decker, including the clothing that the corpse was wearing. Number 15. Mike Wolfe and Leticia Cline. American Pickers star Mike Wolfe and his model girlfriend Leticia Cline are recovering after a serious car accident in Columbia, Tennessee, which left them both hospitalized. News of the crash surfaced last week via social media post on the couple's accounts, with Cline revealing that her jaw had been wired shut, while 61-year-old Wolfe expressed his gratitude that they were both alive and are expected to make a full recovery. In addition to her broken jaw, Cline reportedly suffered a broken sternum, broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and swelling around her spine. She was airlifted to the emergency room from the scene of the wreck and is expected to undergo multiple surgeries as her recovery continues. In the meantime, Wolfe has remained steadfastly by her side, while his representative said in a statement that the family is requesting privacy at this time. Authorities have not revealed the cause of the accident or the circumstances that led up to it, but Cline has posted photos of the smashed up car that were taken in the aftermath of the wreck. Number 14. Eduardo Labrada Machado. A Florida gas station employee stands accused of fatally shooting an off-duty police officer simply because he was having a bad day. The incident occurred last Monday afternoon at a Circle K store in Ormond by the Sea, where 24-year-old Eduardo Labrada Machado opened fire on 45-year-old Edgewater police officer David Jewell multiple times at point-blank range. Following his capture, Machado told police he had previously argued with Jewell and had thought about shooting him in the past, but he didn't provide any details about the prior argument, and relatives of the suspect speculated that he suffers from mental illness, despite having no record of prior violence and no criminal history. And the accused killer did not give police any reason to believe that he knew Jewell was a cop, but he claimed to have seen the victim with a gun on previous occasions and said he was afraid of the man. Machado was denied bail in his initial court hearing and remains in custody at the Volusia County Jail. Number 13. Galina Smirnova. A 95-year-old dementia patient is facing a second-degree murder charge for the beating death of her roommate, 89-year-old Holocaust survivor Nina Kravtsov, at a Brooklyn nursing home last week. Staff members at the facility in Coney Island found Kravtsov suffering from major head injuries that were so severe they had rendered her unrecognizable. Meanwhile, the accused killer, Galina Smirnova, was seen washing her hands at the sink in a blood-covered hospital gown. Lying on the floor nearby was a blood-covered foot pedal that had been removed from a wheelchair. Kravtsov was rushed to the emergency room where she was pronounced dead from blunt force trauma injuries. Smirnova was arrested on Tuesday and is facing a weapons charge in addition to the second-degree murder count. She had reportedly only been at the nursing home for less than 48 hours before killing Kravtsov, after staff members paired the women together because they both spoke Russian. The senior citizen pleaded not guilty during her arraignment on Wednesday and was remanded without bail despite her old age and ailing mental faculties. Number 12. Frank Somerville. Former California news anchor Frank Somerville is no stranger to landing in the spotlight for unflattering reasons, including drunken rampages that have landed him in jail. The 67-year-old's most recent headline-making outburst occurred last Monday when he was arrested in Alameda County for allegedly assaulting his daughter during a fight over money. It marked his fourth arrest in 5 years, ending a 2-year streak of staying out of trouble with the law. In a Facebook post after being released on bail, Somerville accused his daughter of being a full-blown weed addict and claimed that she nagged him for money while going through withdrawal. He said he kicked her out of the house, then received a call from his ex-wife, who asked him to come over because she was scared their daughter was going to hurt her. But when Somerville arrived, he was met by waiting police officers. Somerville insisted he's been clean for 9 months and that he was sober during the altercation, unlike some of the past incidents that he's been in the news for. Number 11. Virginia Summers. A Louisiana middle school teacher was arrested on Tuesday after a cocaine stash was found in her purse during a random drug check at her workplace in Baton Rouge. According to court documents, the drugs were found in 47-year-old math teacher Virginia Summers' wallet after a police canine detected something suspicious in her bag. Summers reportedly claimed that the suspected cocaine belonged to a friend, but admitted to snorting some of it the previous weekend at a tailgate party. While searching her vehicle, police found suspected marijuana and marijuana pipes in the glove compartment. Following the discovery, Summers was arrested for cocaine possession, marijuana possession, possession of drug paraphernalia, and violation of controlled dangerous substances in a school zone. In a statement, the East Baton Rouge Parish Public School System condemned her alleged behavior and asserted its commitment to maintaining a safe, secure, and drug-free environment for all students and staff. Number 10. David Eugene Wright. A Minnesota mother of 2 was shot dead just minutes after she complained about her alleged stalker on Facebook last Monday. Frustrated by her ex-boyfriend's continued unwanted contact, 34-year-old Mariah Rosanna Samuels had vented on social media about how an order of protection she had recently obtained was proving to be useless. She also complained that the police weren't doing enough to make the stalking stop. 8 minutes later, Samuels was gunned down while sitting in her Jeep outside her Minneapolis home. The suspect, 50-year-old David Eugene Wright, was seen by witnesses and in surveillance footage as he fled the scene on a bicycle. Following his arrest, he told detectives, "I'm not going to fight this situation. This is not going to be a hard-fought case." Wright was reportedly jealous that Samuels was seeing another man and had recently been accused of following her home and holding her at gunpoint, prompting her to seek an order of protection against him. He faces 1 count each of second-degree manslaughter and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Number 9. Disney restaurant robbery. In what sounds like an elaborate plot straight out of a fictional action movie, a scuba diver robbed a restaurant at Disney Springs in Orlando and fled the scene by swimming away. The incident occurred shortly after 12 a.m. last Monday after the restaurant, Paddlefish, had closed and while employees were performing their end-of-shift duties. Described by police as a man wearing a blue beanie, black mask, and a wetsuit with no shoes, the suspect barged into the manager's office and made several employees stand in the corner with their eyes closed, with some of them tied up, while he stole between $10,000 and $20,000 from the safe. He then put his scuba gear back on and made his unconventional getaway, leaving the workers shaken but physically unharmed. The whole ordeal lasted less than 2 minutes from start to finish and no arrests have been made. An investigation is ongoing. Number 8. Douglas Snyder. A Pennsylvania man is claiming that he fatally shot his wife by accident during a domestic dispute at their home in Marysville, where he left the victim's body in the presence of their young son for 13 hours before contacting the authorities. 56-year-old Douglas Wayne Snyder was arrested last week and is charged with the intentional homicide of 38-year-old Samantha Lynn Fields, who was pronounced dead at the scene by emergency responders. During the 911 call, Snyder admitted that the shooting had taken place the previous evening. He claimed that Fields had hit him in the back of the head with a book and confessed to pulling the trigger, stating, "I was pissed. I turned around, snapped, and I shot her." Snyder was denied bond following his arraignment last Monday on charges of intentional homicide and endangering the welfare of a child. He's currently in custody at the Perry County Prison as he awaits a preliminary hearing, which is scheduled for Tuesday, September 23rd. Number 7. Isaiah MacDonald. A Florida man stands accused of chasing after a childhood friend who was test driving a motorcycle, shooting at him, trying to run him off the road, and then texting him and asking, "When's a good time to come over?" The victim told police that he tried evading the suspect's Jeep Cherokee, but that it stayed on his tail, causing him to fear for his life. He recognized the driver as 23-year-old Isaiah MacDonald, but said that the two hadn't spoken in years until the suspect texted him shortly after the incident. MacDonald was arrested after the victim's mother found his vehicle at an address where he was known to reside. He denied any involvement in the bizarre pursuit, but was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, discharging a weapon into an occupied vehicle, discharging a firearm from a vehicle, and possession of marijuana, heroin, and drug equipment. He was released from the Lake County Jail on Tuesday after posting a $23,500 bond and is due back in court on October 13th for his arraignment. Number 6. Brett James. Grammy Award-winning songwriter Brett James, who penned some of country music's greatest hits, died in a plane crash along with 2 others on Thursday afternoon. The 57-year-old, who has written songs for stars like Kenny Chesney, Martina McBride, Billy Ray Cyrus, and Carrie Underwood, had departed from John C. Tune Airport in Nashville and was flying over Franklin, North Carolina, when the aircraft crashed into an open field near Iotla Valley Elementary School. The flight was originally scheduled to take off at 1:15 p.m., but did not depart until 1:40. The single-engine plane, which was registered to James under his real name, Brett Cornelius, went down just before 3 p.m. All 3 aboard were killed, but no one else was injured. An investigation by the Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board is ongoing. Number 5. Keeley Whitcomb. Disney influencer and travel agent Keeley Whitcomb is grappling with the loss of her 2 children following a deadly car crash in Nebraska, which has left her husband fighting for his life in intensive care. She shared the devastating news in a TikTok video on Tuesday, the day after the accident. News reports state that the Adams County Sheriff's Department responded to a 2-vehicle crash near Hastings last Monday. A pickup truck, driven by Whitcomb's husband, 33-year-old Blake Whitcomb, had collided with a piece of farm equipment known as a forage collector, with 66-year-old Dale Fike behind the wheel of the machine. Keeley's daughter, Lainey Ray Keeley and her stepson Ryder Keeley were pronounced dead at the scene, and both Blake and Fike were rushed to the emergency room. Police do not believe that alcohol was a factor in the wreck, but the details of exactly what happened are unclear. Number 4. Amy Blanc Lacy. 62-year-old Hollywood script supervisor Amy Blanc Lacy, who worked on over 100 episodes of The Walking Dead, was killed in a hit-and-run crash in Atlanta earlier this month, according to a preliminary report that was obtained by People magazine last week. According to police, Lacy was riding in the back seat of a Toyota Prius being driven by her 23-year-old son, Oliver, on Labor Day when the driver of a Hyundai Elantra lost control of his vehicle and struck the car. Lacy, Oliver, and her 25-year-old son Adrian were rushed to the hospital, where Lacy fell into a coma and was placed on a ventilator. She passed away on September 5th after being taken off life support. The suspect, 31-year-old Buck Rollins, was reportedly going 90 miles per hour, double the speed limit, when the collision occurred. He's accused of calmly fleeing the scene on foot with his golf clubs in tow, later telling police that he had a seizure while driving and walked home. Rollins eventually turned himself in and was charged with homicide by vehicle, hit and run, reckless driving and speeding. He was released from custody after posting a $70,000 bond. Number 3. BJ Penn. After gracing news headlines multiple times this year for his erratic behavior, former UFC fighter BJ Penn was arrested in Hawaii on Tuesday for violating a restraining order his mother, Lorraine Shin, had taken out against him. The 46-year-old previously took to social media with his belief that his family had been murdered and replaced by imposters, leading to repeated altercations between him and Shin. Hilo police responded to the latest incident last Monday and determined that Penn had entered a property in violation of Shin's protective order. He was arrested near the scene but was soon free again after posting $2,000 bail. Penn was previously charged with violating the protective order in late May, the day after it was issued. He's currently awaiting trial in 2 of his previous cases, with the proceedings scheduled for late October and early May. Number 2. Nicholas Dejesus. Just weeks after his release from prison, a parolee stands accused of violently forcing himself on a woman in New York City during the early morning hours last Tuesday. The alleged attack occurred in the Kingsbridge neighborhood in the Bronx at around 5:30 a.m. According to police, 42-year-old Nicholas Dejesus said, "Give it to me or I'll kill you," and punched the victim repeatedly in the face while she resisted. As the woman walked away following the assault, the suspect followed her, tried to stop her, and asked her if they could have intercourse again. She fled to a Dunkin' Donuts, and employees called 911 while Dejesus fled the scene. Police captured him 12 hours later and booked him into custody on multiple charges including rape, sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. Dejesus had been released from prison in July after serving more than 9 years of a 15-year sentence for robbery and was scheduled to remain on parole until 2030. Records show that he's been held at Rikers Island in lieu of $75,000 cash bail or $150,000 surety bond. Number 1. Brenna, Kulikowski, and Damon Thompson. 2 Arizona firefighters were killed in a head-on collision on Wednesday when the ambulance they were riding in was struck by another car. 31-year-old Brenna Kulikowski, 21-year-old Damon Thompson, and the driver of the vehicle that hit the ambulance were declared dead at the scene along State Route 260 near Show Low, where the accident occurred at around 10 p.m. Kulikowski and Thompson were on their way back from dropping a patient off at a medical facility when the unidentified motorist crossed over the center line, resulting in a wreck that Fire and Medical Chief Randy Chevalier described as horrific during an interview with AZ Family. While the community mourns the loss of the 2 firefighters, investigators are working to determine the cause of the deadly crash.